your attention, please? Good morning. I'm going to start on time because it's Saturday and we all have other things we want to be doing. So thank you for being here. My name is Jan Pippin. Back here in the back is Doug Jones moving chairs around to make sure everybody has a chair. So this is his school, and I'm thankful we get to come over here and use it. This is just an informational meeting about Precision Track Club, which is mostly a summer program. And I always feel it's important to tell you a little bit about the history of where this program came from. There are a lot of track clubs in Nashville, and we've seen a lot pop up and go away and pop up and go away. But our club was, we can trace our roots all the way back into the 70s with a club called the Whippets, which was started by Jabbo Hesse. He's a legend at BGA. And a lady named Susan Russ took over the Whippets from Jabbo Hesse in the late 70s. And Susan was the athletic director and head track coach at Harpeth Hall for a very long time. She started the track program at the University of Memphis for women. She is in the Tennessee Coaching Hall of Fame, so she's pretty much a legend in Tennessee. So the Whippets merged with a program called Harpeth Valley Track Club in 1983. Harpeth Valley Track Club was a club created by a man named Tony Moon, who had a lot of guys out in the Belmead area that just wanted to extend their track team into their track season into the summer. So he created a program for them. So Whippets and Harpeth Valley merged in 83. There was also another track club called the Tennessee Track Club. They merged with Harpeth Valley in 1992. The Tennessee Track Club coach, his name was Bill Etheridge. That's another name you might recognize from being around town. Bill was the pole vault coach in town forever and ever and ever. They honor Bill with a memorial award at the Highland Games at FRA, and we also give a pole vault award in his memory at the Doug Hall Relays. Bill passed away suddenly a good number of years ago, but his track team merged, and so Harpeth Valley kind of swallowed up all those other teams. In 2000, we changed the name from Harpeth Valley Track Club to Precision, but we kept the structure and the mission statement that we can trace all the way back to the beginning in the 70s. We chose the name Precision for a reason. We feel like it's important. We all go to meets all the time, and we watch all these athletes with natural ability who struggle with their technique, who we know could be better if they knew how to get out of the blocks or if they knew what to do in the air over the high jump bar. And so we focus a lot in the summer about accurate performance. We spend a lot of time on sprint mechanics, on running mechanics and other events, on your technique in the air and the long jump. So our mission and our goal is to create athletes who perform accurately. We talk a lot about sportsmanship and how to be at a track meet, how to manage your own environment at a track meet. So we spend a lot of time just on education. And I'm going to stop right there and tell you that the coaches that coach on this program donate their time to the program. They are not paid coaches in the summer, which is why I can make this program so affordable. It is a huge gift by some really, really talented people. They do it because they love the sport, and they love Nashville, and they love Nashville youth. And so we are extremely blessed to have the quality of coaches that we have that just show up and donate their time to this program. So I'm pretty thankful for that. But because of that, we obviously just want to promote the sport and create people who love the sport and know a lot about it. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our staff. I'm going to try to go alphabetically, and I'm probably going to miss someone. But our throws are going to be coached this summer by two men, Brock Carlson and Rob Carlson. Brock went here. Brock is now throwing at Tiffin University. His dad is Rob. And so they will tag team with our throwers this summer. Rob went to the University of Tennessee, threw in the Olympic trials. They are excellent teachers. So they will be coaching throws this summer. Ryan Douglas is an excellent sprint mechanics coach. Went to Hillsboro, ran at the University of Tennessee. He was an All-American at 400 meters at UT. He is an assistant coach here. So if you've been to a track meet where Father Ryan is around, Ryan is their sprint coach here. Light-skinned, jacked, bald head. Yeah, very jacked, ridiculous. But anyway, so Ryan's on our staff. Doug Jones, who's back there in the back, he is the head coach here. He coaches our distance guys. He coaches high jumpers for us in the summer. There's a sprint coach named Lauren Schattinger. She ran at Miami of Ohio, and she works in medical research at Vanderbilt. So she comes over and coaches sprinters mainly with us in the summer. Matt Pogue sitting right there in the red shirt. His kids joined our program last summer. Matt ran in this program and then was a decathlete at Auburn. So I'm hoping that I can hang on to him for a while in the summer.
I was hard with that.
Yeah, but still. So Matt was actually a national champion for Harpeth Valley in the decathlon before he went to Auburn. But while his kids are with us, we've got him, and since he was a decathlete, he can step in pretty much anywhere that we need him, so I'm thankful for that. I forget. Oh, and I think we're going to add a new coach this summer. His name is Thomas Osborne. He was a long jumper and a decathlete at Brentwood Academy, was a decathlete at Samford, and just moved back to Nashville. So he told me the other day that he was good to go, so I think we're going to have him on board this summer, which will help us a lot. Okay, so what do we do in the summer? We practice 3 days a week here, except for during the dead period. I'll talk about what that means later, but we'll be here 3 days a week. We start practice on June 5th. I'm going to give you all these dates in a little bit, so you don't have to write them down. We start practice on June 5th. We practice 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. We are looking right now at possibly restructuring practice just a little bit. Last summer, we had a huge number of young athletes, and younger athletes take a lot of attention and time. And so I think our older athletes sometimes felt like we didn't look at them as much as we should have last summer. So we're going to work on restructuring practice a little bit depending on who registers to make sure that all ages and all levels of ability athletes get the attention that they want and deserve in the summer. So we might just shift practice times just a little bit depending on who registers, just to make sure that we can serve all of the athletes that want to train this summer. But our standard practice is 5 to 7:30 in the evenings. And as I said, that might adjust a little bit after I see who registers. We're going to talk a little bit more as a staff and figure out what's best for everybody. But we were kicking around ideas like maybe start the younger ones at 5 and the older ones at 5:30 or 5:45, and then shorten the younger practice just a little bit. And so we'll figure that out, and I'll send that out to you when we figure it out. We don't have an attendance policy because it's summer and people have vacations and people go to camps and people have birthday parties. So we don't really have an attendance policy. However, we do ask that you let us know if you're not coming to practice so that we don't worry about you, so that we don't make a specific training plan for your athlete on that day and then you're not here. If you take a trip and you would like us to help you with what kind of a workout your child should do while they're gone, we can do that if you give us enough notice to get ready for that before you leave. So those are the things that we ask for as far as your attendance is concerned. We run in the rain. So we will run if it's raining. We will have practice if it's raining. We might adjust the length of our practice because we're not probably going to pole vault if it's raining. But we will practice in the rain. Track meets happen in the rain. So we will practice in the rain. It might be storming at your house, wherever you live, and not storming here, because we live in Nashville. So if you live a really long way away and the weather is, ominous and you think it's going to storm all night and you don't want to spend the gas to drive, you make that call and we will respect whatever decision you make. I only cancel practice if it's going to storm and keep storming. The safety rules say that if lightning's within a 5-mile radius of where you are, you have to delay your outside activity for 30 minutes. if it's lightnings again in that 30 minutes, the 30 minutes starts over. So at some point, we have diminishing returns. And so if it looks like it's going to be that kind of a night where we're just waiting and waiting and waiting, I will cancel practice. That doesn't happen very often. When I do, I try to send an email right away. I'll post it on our Facebook page. I'll put it on our Twitter page. I'll get that information to you any way I can as early as possible to save your time and your gas. But that happens rarely because, like I said, if it's raining, we'll practice. We just won't practice in a storm. If it does storm, we have the ability to tuck kids inside a building to keep them safe until you can get back to get them. So just so you know, we will be able to do that. In the summer, students tend to get out of their regular routine of breakfast at home and lunch at school, and especially if they're at home and you're at work, sometimes they'll sleep late, skip breakfast, and nibble on food all day. If they come to practice in the afternoon and they have not eaten and they have not had an appropriate amount of hydration during the day, they will not perform well at practice. So if you're able to keep them on any kind of a regular routine in the summer, it will be much better for their bodies and much more productive for us at practice. If they skip breakfast and have a bag of chips at lunch, then it's not going to go very well for them at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So any help that you could give us on being sure that they actually eat. I tell my guys at my school, cars don't go without gas in them. And same with bodies, they don't go without fuel. So hydration is important and eating is important every day. We warm up and cool down every single day at the beginning, at the end of practice. If your athlete arrives late or needs to leave early, it would be great if you could help us to make sure that they warm up properly or that they pull out of our practice early enough to cool down and stretch before they leave. We, again, try to teach them the proper way to take care of their bodies and be at their best. And they can't jump into a long jump or a sprint technique or a distance workout without warming up, or they're again not going to perform well, and they run the risk of injuring themselves. So if you can help us with that, if they show up late or have to leave early, that would help us to take care of them and help them be at their best. Shoes and clothes. None of us have any specific brand or model of shoe that we recommend because everybody's feet are different. We do suggest that you get a new pair of training shoes every season. Shoes, even though they look fine on the outside, the support system in a shoe breaks down after 300 to 500 miles, depending on what you do in them. When the support system starts to break down and the cushion system isn't there anymore, then you start to have arch problems, knee problems, shin pain, ankle injuries. So a really easy way to try to avoid injury is to make sure that you're in good running shoes and a pair that's not completely worn out. So again, our suggestion is a new pair each season. So when they start summer, if they're running in a shoe they've been running in all spring, it might be time for a new pair of training shoes. So that's just their training shoes. We can talk specifically about spikes individually as we get into the summer, because spikes are different for every athlete, spikes are different for every event, and there's a huge range of financial investment you can get into in your racing shoes. So I'm happy to talk about those. We'll talk about those individually later, depending on the age of your athlete, their amount of experience, and the events that they are in. But we can help you with those later. And I mentioned organizing practice earlier. We organize practice like this. We warm up together. We try to get 1 or 2 technique sessions in each day, and then we put all of our technique toys away. Everybody runs a workout, and then everybody runs a cool down. So when I mean technique session, it might be starting blocks. It might be just some kind of running mechanics, how you swing your arms. It might be long jump takeoffs, high jump layouts, shot put, discus, pole vault. All those things are technique. So we try to get 2 technique sessions in each day. So we spend 20, 30 minutes in one area, we move them somewhere else, 20 or 30 minutes somewhere else. put everything away and everybody runs. So that's how we organize practice. There's a sample of that. If you saw the brochures that I had spread around some of the track meets, there's a sample of how we organize practice on that brochure, but we adjust that practice schedule based on who we have in the summer, what they want to do, what they need. So that's just an example, but we don't stick strictly to that. Yes, ma'am.
So do all kids get to try like pole vault, and all kids get to try Mona?
Great question.
Is that what you want to technique?
We encourage students in the summer to try anything that they think looks interesting to them. We also will recommend things that we think they should try based on how they move, body type, how they warm up. We do have some age limits on certain things that are put on them. If you try to triple jump when you're little, it's really hard on your knees. So we encourage people to wait until they're at least 13 to triple jump, 13 to pole vault. But yes, generally yes, we let them try anything that we think looks appropriate or fun to them, as long as they're age appropriate. So yes, we do that. One of the things I like about our program, I never tell anybody that I don't have the attitude that our program is better than any school program. The luxury that we have is that we have coaches in all of those areas. And a lot of times at your school, you have 50 kids and 2 coaches, and they just can't get to everybody. And so one of the things that we're pretty proud of is that we can spread out because we have more coaches. So it doesn't really make us we're not better than anybody else, but we just have that luxury so we can cover more things. We do go to some competitions, but that's not required. There are clubs in town who race every weekend all summer long, and we don't really believe in that because of our mission statement and feeling really strongly about education. We go to just enough meets in the summer to test what we're learning in practice. Again, it's summer, it's hot, traveling is expensive, and so we don't race every weekend. If your athlete is an older athlete who is in a position to need some extra races to try to get college attention, we can work on that individually with one-on-one people. But as a group, we practice for a while, we go to a meet and try to do what we've learned to practice a little longer, go to another meet. So we do the AAU circuit, but the AAU circuit for track just consists of a district, a region, and then nationals at the end of the summer. So as a group, we only do those 3 meets. But again, if you have an athlete who needs more races for a particular reason, then individually we can work on creating a schedule for that athlete based on their needs. We don't require that you go to those meets. It's expensive to go out of town, and some people have other plans or they have conflicts during those meets. So if you just want to come and train all summer to get better for your school program, you can do that without going to any meets with us. It will not disqualify you, and we don't treat you any differently if you're going to the meets or if you're not. So the only thing that I ask is when I hand out paperwork in a minute, if you are not going to race with us this summer, there's no need for me to order a jersey for you to race in. So I just, when you make that decision, I ask that you help me with that so that I don't order unnecessary gear and spend money that we don't really need to spend. Summer track is age group based. So if you decide to go to the track meets with us, you are put into age groups based on your birth year. So unfortunately, if you have a December birth date, you still have to race with the people who were born in the year that you were born. So some of them might be a good bit older than you, even though it's an age group competition. When you're 12 and under, it's single year age groups. So there's an 8 and under age group, and then after 8 and under, it's 9, 10, 11, 12, birth year based. When you get, actually 13 and 14 are that way too. When you get to 15, 16, it's 2-year age groups. 15 and 16-year-olds are together, 17 and 18-year-olds are together. When you're turning 19, if you're not 19 until after the national track meet, you can run the year you're turning 19. So they try to give you that year back if your birthday is late at the very end of your career in AAU. So For instance, I had a September birthday, so the year that I was turning 19 in September, I could have run summer track again that summer, even though I had already started college at that point. So if you have more questions about that, I'm happy to answer more questions about that. Okay, when I hand you out this paperwork in a minute, the meet dates are on there, and then there's a list of questions at the bottom that help me with whether you're going to the meets or not. If you're unsure about that, we'll talk about that in a minute. But there is a meet that's listed on there that says multi-events. And a lot of times people don't know what multi-events is. Multi-events is a general term that's used for, if you're a really young person, it's a triathlon. It's a track triathlon, 3 track events. If you're a middle school aged person, it's a pentathlon, so it's 5 events. And if you're 15 and up, the women do heptathlon, men do decathlon. So when I ask if you're interested in multi-events, it means that particular competition. It doesn't mean, are you gonna run the 100, the 200, and do the long jump? That's not what that means. So sometimes that's confusing to people who are new to track. So I always try to explain what multi-events means. So the multi-event competition is a separate competition from the regular track meet. So when you look at the meet schedule, it has the first meet listed, and then it has the multi-event meet listed, and then the next open meet listed. So that's what that means when you're looking at that. If you have any questions, any of people who have done track before can pretty much answer those questions for you. The great thing about multi-events, especially for a new athlete, is that it gives you an opportunity to try more things. For instance, if you're a middle school person and you're new to track, in the open meet you can only do four events. But if you also do the pentathlon, you can do your 4 open events and the pentathlon, which gives you more events. You can do more events you can try. It's a pretty low-key way to try a lot of stuff if you're new to track. Some people do it just to kind of figure out what their events are and then, move away from it as they get older. Some people, like Matt, stick with it and become national champions at it. So, but anyway, that's a different thing, and any of us are happy to explain more about what that means and the benefits of those. When your athlete changes teams, even if they've already been in track, they are probably going to come home sore, because every team does a different warm-up and a different cool-down and different drills, and probably no matter how fit they are, they may come home sore at the beginning of summer because we'll probably do different things than they're used to doing. There's a difference between soreness and injury. If you're unsure whether your athlete is sore or injured, any of the coaches at practice can help you and them evaluate, because we know what we did the day before or 2 days before, and we know how that should probably make their bodies feel. So we can help you try to determine whether they're sore or whether they've sustained an injury, because there is a difference. And some athletes have a hard time discerning that difference, but they are probably going to be sore at the beginning of summer. If it seems more than soreness to you, again, don't hesitate to ask, and we can help you with that. And then if we're not sure, we feel like you should see a doctor, we can help you move in that direction. Hopefully that won't happen. Okay, I have some paperwork here. Please know that you are not required to commit today. If you just wanted to listen, if you have questions, I'm gonna answer questions in just a second. If you're not sure, you do not have to commit today. But please know this: our first track meet is June 17. In order to get jerseys back by June 17, I have to order them at the beginning of June. So I am gonna close my order for gear at the end of May and place that order. That does not keep you from joining the team after that. It just means you won't have a jersey. Now, in the summer, there aren't uniform rules like they are at school. The only time we would have to match in a uniform is if we were running a relay. But if your athlete decides after I order gear that they want to go to track meets, they can wear any shirt and any pair of shorts they want, and it's fine at the summer track meets. So it doesn't disqualify you from participating. It will just keep you out of my gear order, because I have to get that done to get the gear back in time. So just know that. But I'm going to give you a packet of information. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's a, name, address, birthday, that kind of thing. There's a travel form which asks if you think you're going to the meets or not. There's a sizing sheet about what size clothing you wear. There's a medical waiver, and it just says that your child is healthy, and if they get hurt at practice, you're not going to sue us. And then that's pretty much all it says. So when I order the gear, if you join this team and you're going to race, you'll get a jersey to race in. Everybody, whether they're going to race or not, is going to get t-shirts to wear to practice. Everybody, whether they race or not, is going to get a pair of sweatpants like I'm wearing. They're too big for me. So you're going to get t-shirts, sweatpants, and if you race, you'll get a jersey. Yeah.
Shorts.
I'm going to ask that people are so weird about the shorts they wear, that our jerseys are black. You can wear any kind of black shorts that you're comfortable in going to meets. Some people like compression shorts. Some girls like the really short ones. Some girls like long ones. Some people like loose fitting shorts. So I used to do shorts and it was a disaster. So not doing that anymore. So anyway, questions? Or if you've done this before and I didn't say something that you think is important as a parent, please chime in. Ms. Jones.
We're going to say something about dead period.
Sure. So dead period, if your athlete's not in high school yet, you may not know what dead period is. Dead period is a 2-week period where the JnSdlr says that campuses have to close and coaches can't have any contact with their athletes. It's supposed to be designed to protect the athlete's body and force them to take a 2-week rest time in the summer. The timing of that dead period is suspect, and not very many coaches think that it's in the proper place to actually give athletes a rest at the time they need a rest. But it's still there and it's still a rule. So this campus closes during dead period, completely closes. So during those 2 weeks of the dead period, we will have our practice over at Montgomery Bell Academy for those 2 weeks, and then we'll come back over here after the dead period. I'll send that email to the team. Thank you for reminding me of that. I'll send that email out and remind you the week prior that we'll be moving our practice location the following week. That is around the time that we're going to race. So you'll be getting a lot of information from me around that time. If you are an athlete whose school coach is one of our summer coaches, we also have to get a little bit creative with how to not have contact with our school athletes during that 2-week period so that we don't get in trouble with the JnSdlr, but we'll deal with that on an individual basis if that becomes an issue for any of you. What we did last year was we had some Father Ryan athletes on our team last summer, and we had some NBA athletes on our team last summer. So when we went to NBA for dead period, the NBA athletes practiced at St. Cecilia with the Father Ryan coach, and then the Father Ryan athletes stayed at NBA with the NBA coach, so we didn't break any rules. So we'll just deal with that when we see if that is an issue for any individual people, but we will move practice locations during those 2 weeks. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Is the June 17th meet the district qualifier?
Yes.
And if they can't meet that date, is there another district qualifier that they could do?
Great question. If you couldn't hear her, she asked if the June 17 is the only district qualifier. There are another couple of them. I didn't look into the dates of those yet, but I can. So in the AAU, and I didn't really do a great job of this, in AAU it's a tournament series. You go to the district qualifier, the top 16 athletes in each event at the district qualifier go on to the next meet. So if you don't run the district qualifier, you cannot go to the next meet. There are multiple district qualifiers. I didn't look into the other dates, and here's why. There is normally one somewhere around Nashville, Murfreesboro, Nolensville, somewhere. It's usually very, very early, and we usually, if we're even practicing yet. We've only had like 2 or 3 practices, and I don't even know everybody's name yet, much less have them in events that I think are appropriate for them to be their most competitive in the summer. So we don't normally support that meet as a group just because we're not ready. But if an individual needed to, we can make that one happen. I think there's one somewhere in Alabama and one somewhere in Georgia. I, again, didn't look at those dates or locations, but I can on an individual basis if I need to. So top 16, go from that one to the next one. Then the next one's called the National Qualifier. We call it the region, but it's a National Qualifier meet. The top 4 people, I think, advance from the National Qualifier to the National Championship, except for in the multi-events. It's only the top 3 in the multi-events. That's a change this year. It's going to go down to top 3 in the multis that advance. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, but we're brand new, we won't be doing that. We have every summer families who find themselves with their kids qualified for nationals and they had no idea that was going to happen. Please know that if that happens to you, yeah, it happened last summer. Yes. If that happens to you and you just can't make that work because it's a huge surprise, we get it. It's not required. It's kind of a nice surprise and fun, but again, it's expensive and time consuming. So if that's something you just can't swing as a new athlete here, then that's okay. If you want to run with us in the summer and finances are an issue for your family, we always have a little bit of flexibility to help a family or 2 with their participation in the summer. We have some alumni families who really feel strongly in what we do here, and they will help me with a family or 2 who need help in the summer. So if you've listened to all of what I've said today and you want to do this, but the finances are going to keep you from it, we can have an individual private conversation about that later, because I do have a couple of people in place that are willing to help people like that. Track is a great character builder, and we spend a lot of time in the summer working on all of those kinds of things. So we don't want to keep people from doing something or reaching their goals if we can help them to do that. So anything else? Any other questions I can answer? Yes, ma'am.
Do the kids choose their event or y'all choose their event for the?
Sort of both. We ask them what they like and we watch them practice those, and then we get them to try some things that we think they might be good at. We try to find some kind of compromise in the middle. Sometimes if you have an athlete who is convinced that they're going to be the next Usain Bolt, sometimes they have to run the 100 and get their doors blown off before they find out that that's not the right place for them. So sometimes we have a little bit of a conflict, and sometimes we have to have a learning summer before we get in the right events. Or sometimes we find a compromise where we do some of what they want, some of what we think. But yeah, we can work together to figure that out. Yes, sir.
So on that same topic, how do you balance, like, let's say my daughter wants to join and I know she needs to focus on the mechanics side of it almost exclusively, but she's taken an interest in the pole vault thing. I don't want to force her out of pole vault to focus on that, but how do you balance like that true need, like she needs to work on this, but she wants to do this over here?
Well, especially with the older kids, we absolutely have time to do more than one technique session per day. And so she might spend the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes working sprint mechanics, and then spend the next 20 to 30 minutes pole vaulting, and then run a sprint workout. So we can move her around like that. What she and what we try to teach them in the summer is, if your running mechanics aren't correct, then all of those other things are going to suffer.
Right.
So once they start to buy into that process, then they're willing to work both.
Okay.
And we try to make time for both.
Good.
Anything else? Great question. Yes, sir. What'd you say?
Yeah, the indoor meets.
Indoor meets. So we have a few coaches who continue with some people year-round who don't have a year-round program at their school. And so it's not as organized and like announced like this. I don't have an informational meeting and have a kickoff program, but Coach Douglas has a few people who train here through the winter time. I saw a couple people in the back of the room who ran all year with Coach Douglas over here, and I have a few who come over to NBA and run with me all year. So we do that. If you're not in another sport for your school, then yeah, and again, that's kind of more individual because everybody has a little bit different goal for themselves. But Alima and Benyam standing back there in the back of the room ran all year over here. So yeah, we can make that happen. Anything else? Okay, so I'm going to pass out paperwork. If you have questions you want to ask me individually, feel free. If you're ready to join the team and fill out all this and leave it with us today, that's great. You can write a check, or I have QR codes if you do Venmo. I have a receipt book if you want to do cash. I'm not set up to do cards, but any of those other ways, I'm ready to take money today if you're ready to commit today. I didn't even talk to you about the cost of the program. Because my coaches are volunteers, I try to keep it as low as possible, and actually our whole summer costs about as much as most one-week camps do. So to do the whole summer with us right now is $325. That money goes to pay, again, your jersey, your pants, your t-shirt. It buys an AAU card when you're with us so that you're covered in insurance when you're with us. It helps me pay Father Ryan to use their track, so we pay them to use their track in the summer. It helps me pay the coaches' travel to the meets. It buys any kind of equipment that breaks or that we need in the summer that Father Ryan doesn't already have. So I stretch that money as far as I can. So yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Do you want us to get you the paperwork and money if we can't commit today?
You can, I'm happy to meet you somewhere, or I can give you my address and you can just mail it to my house.
Okay.
Or, yeah, we can figure something else out. So again, first page is just your information. Back is a medical waiver. This is sizes. And it asks you to only choose a jersey size if you're going to the meets. It asks you for a t-shirt size and a sweatpants size. You can order a hoodie that goes with these pants if you want. That is an extra cost. I'm not ordering hoodies for everybody because it's hot in the summer. But if you want a hoodie to match your pants, there's a space for that. You can order a hoodie. The back page has a schedule at the top, and at the bottom is a checklist of if you're going or not. If you're not sure yet, again, you can take this all with you and bring it to me later. I'll meet you somewhere. The dates and the deadlines are here. If you want to keep the top of this page because it has dates and deadlines and tear the bottom half off, I've got paper clips to clip it all back together. The very back has a list of what to bring to a track meet because some people just don't know. So there's a list of what to bring to a track meet. Some of the things on this list your coaches on this team will have for you at a track meet in the summer, but these are things you should bring to a track meet if you're on your own, or if you don't have, again, if you're on a team with 50 kids and 2 coaches, you might want to look closely at this list for your school track meets later. So if you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to hand these out and,
Okay.
yeah.
Just for on those meet dates, the 10th of June is the Murfreesboro one. Just for another one. 17th is the one we go to, which is at Hart Valley in Knoxville. And then the 24th is the one in Memphis. I think those are all district qualifiers that feed into the same region. So
Thanks.
that's it. For some reason, your vacation, something